I'm out of breath and I haven't even started yet. This is actually a pretty decent haul for you. I could have picked a lot more albums. This is going to be another music update. And I actually got record store day releases, which I got quite a few. Well, pretty decent amount, I would say. More than two. So I'm going to say this one was a record store day haul. But I'm going to show you guys real quick the CDs, cassettes I picked up first, and then some budget albums till I get to the record store day towards the end. Two cassettes, Rock You Like a Hurricane. Actually, this is Scorpions' first Love at First Sting, which has Rock You Like a Hurricane on it. And I've had this on cassette. I've had this on CD. I've never had this on vinyl, which is weird because I'm a huge fucking Scorpions fan, but just never really got around to it. So glad to have this one. This was the follow-up to Breakout, which most of you Scorpion fans already know that. I like this album. It's got 4 big hits on here. If you think about at least radio hits, including the stunning ballad "Still Loving You," to Bad Boys Running Wild, and Big City Nights, which I love, and Rock You Like a Hurricane. There's some really, really also great deep tracks on here. The Same Thrill is great. I love that song. I'm Leaving You is terrific. And Coming Home, which I think actually gets radio airplay. What was the other song? Crossfire is terrific. More of that melodic stuff that you would expect from the Scorpions with a bit of bite. So, yeah. So, and the other cassette, Dinosaur Jr., Hand It Over. Sorry, I got 2 more CDs I gotta grab. I forgot to grab them. That's how discombobulated I've been. I've been sick for the last week. Sorry. Dinosaur Jr., Hand It Over. Been on a huge Dinosaur Jr. kick lately, listening to a lot of their stuff. Love this band. This happens to be more of their later stuff. I think this was came out after Lost and Found, so I don't know what to expect. I'm hoping it still has distorted guitars. Radiation decided to reissue this. I think this is a later 97 maybe release for this, 97 or 98. And Radiation, which has done a lot of, there you can see the Radiation right there, has done a lot of Dinosaur Jr., or has done a lot of punk releases. Doing this is kind of odd to me, but it's a welcome sight to get any Dinosaur Jr. on cassette. And it was $11, and I thought it was worth it. CDs, I'm just going to go through these real quickly. I don't want to spend a lot of time on these. Machines of Love and Grace. This is, what is this? Guilt. And this is a band that has kind of like a heavy alternative sound. And I thought they might have like some industrial stuff in there too. I believe they do. And I remember these guys from the 90s. And if you've been watching my channel, then you know I'm a sucker for 90s alternative bands. And I've been looking. And when I find their stuff, I'm like, ooh, that's cool. Because, 30 years ago, you could find this stuff no problem. Nowadays, it's almost like a needle through a haystack. You don't know if you're going to get it or not. And I'm certainly happy to have this. All right. Orbital, I think, is this Orbital? Yeah, Orbital, the Altogether. I think this is an anthology of the electronic group Orbital. Not familiar with these guys. The price was right for $2. I can't get this wrong. Everything I showed you today, I got from my local record store, Jerk Dog Records, before I forget. So I'm taking a chance on this. I bought this a few weeks ago. If I didn't say, besides records, CDs, a few cassettes, I do got a box set I'm going to show you too, which is really cool. Let's see. Let's keep going. Let's get all these done and out of the way with, so to speak. Let's see. Let's go through their stuff first. Yes. A little discombobulated, folks. Never mind. Sorry about that. Front 2 for 2. Front by front. This is a collection of their works from 88 and 89. industrial group on the Wax Trax label. I always kind of liked Front 242. I thought there was something really kind of militant about them. I guess that's maybe in the repetitive structure of militant. And sorry, I'm going to push that back just a little bit. God, that light is shining bright. If I put it way just like that, ooh, look at that! It's like a seance in here. There we go. Better. This is yeah, just as a collection of Front 242 stuff, so it might be good. So, and official version, which is 86 through 87, more collected works of Front 242. Lots of industrial in this today's program. Lots of it. So if you like industrial, stick around. So, other cool collection of earlier Front 242 stuff. And then I think I got a few. I do got a few by the band Frontline Assembly. I have Isolot, which is like an EP. Not sure when this came out. It doesn't have a date, but it's got 3 songs on it, including the dub mix of Isolot and Mendel Distortion. Didn't see any Frontline Assembly stuff. One of my favorite industrial groups. They're so, like, this is a 90 release. They're so, like, sort of like, so industrialized to a point where it's like so mechanical, a Frontline Assembly, but it's also got a dance beat to it too, and I think that was the whole point. I mean, obviously it's the whole point of industrial music, but I thought theirs was more mind-numbingly repetitive than other ones, but very exciting to me is Frontline Assembly. And then this one too, this is Fatalist, and this has 3 versions of Fatalist on here: Retribution, Deception, and Prophecy also on here as well. I think this might be in that era of where Frontline Assembly was doing kind of more techno too, but I'm not gonna say I completely know this band stuff and go down that rabbit hole with you guys. Industrial's a music I like, but not a music style that I know a ton about. KFMDM Retro. This is a compilation of one of the more entertaining industrial bands. I love this band. They're so cheesy to me, but they're great too. They're great, but they're cheesy. This is a 1996 Wax Trax, a recording of a bunch of songs off of Angst, Nail Hill, Extort, Money, UAIOE, from Naive, Hell to Go, a bunch of different dance tracks from those albums. Dare I say, greatest hits by KMFDM. So, Six Finger Satellite. This is Severe Exposure. Great, one of the great noise bands of the 90s. I have not listened to Six Finger Satellite in forever, but I think they're kind of like noisy, detuned guitars, that kind of shit. I want to say I think this is akin to like amphetamine reptile bands, but don't quote me on that. But because I haven't listened to these guys in forever. But yeah, I thought that was cool as fuck. Magnetic Fields. This is Get Lost. Kind of a quirky, lo-fi electronic band that had like, sort of like, I guess to me like, floated off a little bit into the dream pop stuff, and definitely lo-fi indie rock too as well, and very quirky band. Stephen Merritt, their leader, I think is a really interesting guy. This not considered one of their best records, but I'm not gonna lie and say I know this their material by heart. I do not. So yeah, enjoy yourself with some Magnetic Fields. Get Lost. The Essential Adamant, yeah, fuck yeah, absolutely. This is awesome. This has, I mean, goddamn, everything from the earlier stuff all the way up to his first album in the 90s called Wonderful, which I like, which is more like a college rock record at that point. But yeah, I like Adamant. You know, I had a bunch of his CDs there, and I should get them. I'm just trying to get through these fast because I really want to spend some time on the records. And the last thing I'm going to show you, which is awesome, is Sepultura's Morbid Visions. So this also has the EP Bestial Devastation. So we're talking the earliest of the earliest Sepultura. This is straight out death metal. This is not thrash. It's not, speed metal or anything. This is straight up death metal, if you ask me. And the earlier stuff like this and Schizophrenia and Beneath the Remains, for me and for some other people too, this is like kind of where like Sepultura reigns supreme for me. And to get Morbid Visions on CD, I was fucking happy. This was $8, but it, like I said, it's got Bestial Devastation too, which is their first EP. So we're talking mid '80s on this shit, I think. Let's see, what was the dates on this thing? 1986, going back to the mid '80s on this. So great Brazilian death metal, and I call this death metal. I mean, regardless of what people say. One box set. This is the Brit box, and this is really cool. This one was $20, but you know what? I said, fuck it. I'm gonna just, yeah, fuck it. Exactly. This has UK indie, shoegaze, and Britpop gems of the last millennium for when it was released, I think in the 2000s. And here's the booklet. It's supposed to have lights here, you can see, but lights are gone. Here's the booklet right here, which is a nice booklet, the Brit box. It's got Ned's Atomic Dustbin, Manic Street Preachers, the Dellins right there, all those bands on that page. Let's flip it forward. Oh God, Mighty Lemon Drops, Suede, pretty neatness right there too. So I'm not gonna flip it through all these things. Let's see. Yeah, I'll show you another picture. And on the back is this right here. This is a, I think, two disc set with 4 CDs in each of these. Sorry about the glare. So you have disc 1 and disc 2 right here, and the back with the song tracks on here. Sorry. And same thing here. Back with the song tracks, 2 discs are inside here. There's another disc behind here, the same as the other one. So yeah, this has got, God, yeah, Ned's Atomic Dustbin. Oh shit, Cocteau Twins gotta be on here. Smiths, yep, Cocteau Twins, Felt, The Cure, Echo and the Bunnymen, Jesus and the Mary Chain, Primal Scream. I almost bought a Primal Scream record for Record Store Day and did not. Sway, Swerve Driver, New Order, the Boo Radleys, that's a great band. Another great band, Saint Etienne, who I like quite a bit. Ash, I remember Ash, Ocean Color Scene. The Blue Tones were good too. Super Furry Animals, The Wonderful Divine Comedy, etc., etc., etc. This one was $20, so it was well worth the $20. As soon as he showed it to me, I'm like, I'm buying it. I'm a sucker for box sets, so this is cool. The Brit box. Alright. Now, before we get into the albums, and we have a lot of time, it's only 13 minutes in. This is a lot, like, we're really going to go through the albums in depth today. I could have showed a lot more CDs. I could have showed a lot more cassettes. I did not want to do that. I just wanted to show basically most of the Record Store Day items and some of the familiar items. The first stack full here are all records that I got for, goddamn, $3. So a nice handful of these will be $3. Debussy. This is La Mer in Iberia by the great French composer Claude Debussy, or Debussy. Yeah, he had a fascination with the sea, and La Mer is the sea, and so he composed a piece on that. At the time when he premiered it, he did not get good reviews because there was a scandal where he was, I think, left his wife for another woman, and the critics took that real personal. And so probably not the best time to premiere something, but he did anyways. and the other piece being Iberia. And that one is, I guess, at the peak of what is known as his impressionistic period. But there's a real melancholia, heartfelt sort of feeling when you listen to Debussy. I kind of dig them. I love this cover of this print. It's awesome on the Columbia label. I find these classical composers like totally goofy in a way. They're just totally fucking goofy. And I had a lot more classical records, than which I'll show at a later date, but I didn't want to show them all today. I want to stick on the, sort of industrial bandwagon which I'm on. A few records that are in the world music and flavor. I'm not sure what this one was. It's all in Japanese print. I'm guessing it's traditional Japanese music. It's all, so I can't read anything. There's nothing in here in English. It's on the Vector label. Very, very nice copy of this. So Japanese, probably traditional folk music of some sort. Love this print. You get me with a print. I mean, if you have a cool print for a record, I probably will buy it based on the print. Especially older records. I have like classical and jazz and folk and traditional music. I really look for the prints. And here's another cool one right here. This one is the best collection of koto music done by the Yamada School. So at least I know what this is. This one is. Cool cover, cool print. Look at the back. Look at these stiffies. Look at these nerds. Look at these motherfuckers right here. Oh gosh. Like, yes, well, part of the Japanese. I can't even do it. I'm not going to do it. But yeah, I got some more traditional Japanese music, koto music, right there. This one I just bought Saturday, and these guys were sampling this, and they were actually recording a record at the record store day, and they were playing this, which is like gamelan music, I believe. And once again, the print is gorgeous on this. Yeah, like world music, I'm a big fan of this stuff. Huge fan of it. Inside, this is kind of what's going on here. The record itself is just on this Columbia label. This thing is absolutely stunning to listen to. They were recording it and they were putting beats to it. This one DJ was kind of aloof, kind of a weird guy, but nice, or don't bother me while I'm working. Okay, well then don't do it in front of a fucking record store, Sorry for saying it. But creative stuff is so important. Okay. Ryoko Maruyama with the College Folk Album #2. So, and look at her there, just enjoying herself on a bench of some sort. Is that a bench? I don't know what the fuck it is. Anyways, she, Ryuko Maruyama, it was I think she became a pop singer and pretty popular in Japan, I believe. But this is her earlier folk music. It is on the Philips label. I just looked at cover right there, the print right here, the colors, and then the back. I was like, fuck, I ain't buying this. Once again, this has got a very cool insert with all this. It looks like it's music, if you can read the music right there, And the record itself is, once again, on the Philips label. I don't usually get a chance to show off what these look like, but I'm going to have so much time today to go over these with you that it's going to be awesome. And going back to that ocean theme, which I showed you earlier, I have oh, it's not La Mer. I thought it was La Mer, I'm sorry. It's I'm going to show it anyways. La Femme. Boom, ba, la, boom. I don't even know if that's a word, but Les Baxter with Frank Purcell and his French strings. So music that was composed by Les Baxter and played by conductor, orchestra leader Frank Purcell. And this was done in the 50s. So this is kind of I'm guessing classical tinged music, maybe into easy listening. I don't know um, if this is got any lounge aspects to it at all. But the cover on this, once again, I'm not going to show her boobies, but well, you can't really see her boobs. But look at that print on that. That had to be right there. And then here's the back with Les Baxter up here, this goofball, and then down here, Frank Purcell. God, does he? I was going to say he almost looks like David Lynch, but he doesn't. So, yeah, easy listening, classical, I'm guessing. This could be really interesting, La Femme. And this is Les Baxter's love letter to women, hence La Femme. Okay, so we're out of that world music and we're going to get into some really kind of interesting records I picked up this weekend. I got 5 more to show you that are in the $3 binge. This is a New York band, I think, or the New York or Jersey area that came out in the late 80s. This is Dirty Face, and the album is I Can Hurt Myself If I Want To. And I want to say I think this is in the realm of like kind of roots rock-ish, like driving, jangly stuff, but with a heavy, healthy dosing of some replacements, I think. So I think it might be in more of that replacements realm than anything, but don't quote me on that either. I was $3. I'm really curious about this shit when it's like $3. 1988 this came out, and it's just on black vinyl. So I don't know what to think of this. I mean, besides the fact I listened to one track a few weeks ago and I could barely remember it. I just remember it sounding a little bit like the Replacements to me, or Soul Asylum, maybe a little bit, something in that reign, or maybe a space between both of them or whatever. Although, albeit, I think they sound a little different. There's some things in common. This I picked up Saturday, and this is another kind of interesting thing, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to sell it though, because it is one of those local things, and this is Foolish Relics, the band, and the album is called Too Old. Too old. I'm too old to be holding this album. And if you look, you can kind of figure out, and I should have known this right away with the horns, that this is probably going to be ska music. But what got me, even though there's songs on here like, where's that song on here? I guess, yeah, Thank You for Skankin'. I should have known that this was fucking ska music, and I was looking at the hieroglyphics, or not the hieroglyphics, the print on this, and this looks like something straight up out of hip hop. So I was thinking maybe this is like hip hop with some horns in it. But I believe this is a local band from Bradenton. I believe Foolish Relics, and I think this is ska music. But I haven't listened to it all the way through. I mean, it's got a trombone, saxophone, trumpet. It's gotta be. It's gotta be. This was released in 2022, so I think these guys, Foolish Relics, are still around. I don't mind this at all, but selling local shit is hard to sell to somebody. I find like I'll buy local musician stuff, and I'll just sit. And the only way I can get rid of it is to sell it for like $1. So this is probably going to go straight into the dollar bin, and I'm going to sell it in a few weeks at the Tampa show. And yeah, Snow Globe Records, but yeah, a colored vinyl though, it's really cool. I could probably try to get selfish, but knowing that I'm going to sell this, and that's the whole reason I bought it, I'll probably take the loss of $3 and sell it for $1 just to get rid of it. I have the worst fucking time selling local regional shit. I just do. It's like that shit just does not move. No one has any interest in local music, it seems like, at these record shows. So, all right, I got the next 3 I picked up were all like really interesting records, varied in who the artists are, but I'm a sucker for buying, the next 4 actually. The next 5 actually are kind of all interesting, variedly different, but interesting albums by the artists that are kind of going outside of their norm. And I'll explain that after this sip from my water. Yeah, I was gonna make some sort of fucking stupid like commercial thing right there, but I'm glad I didn't. So yeah, um, this first one I find really interesting. It's a common record, but once you get the story behind it, and I listening to this album and the album he made afterwards, I think there was a really interesting era for James Taylor, and it started with Flag. And this is a common record. You see it kind of everywhere. And in a strange sort of sense, this came out in 1979, and trust me, this has still got James Taylor in like songs on here. So it's not like it's not soft singer songwriter music. It is, but it also has him attempting to do more up tempo stuff, more dare I say even rock music, and a tad bit of new wave, which makes it super strange when you think of James Taylor. This is the like kind of like Cat Stevens when he did that fucking like Is It So in the mid 70s. Like some of those records, Back to Earth has even got some strange tracks on it by Cat. There's something about that I find more appealing than just the traditional great Cat Stevens stuff, which I love too, like Teaser and the Fire Cat. And the same goes with James, that I didn't realize that he had a period where he made some records that were kind of outside of his wheelhouse, and this is definitely one of them. It does got like Up on the Roof, and Mill Worker are some of the songs that sound like James Taylor, but like Johnny Comes Back. I Will Not Lie to You, and he does a cover of Day Tripper by the Beatles. I was like, what the fuck? So is this new wave? No. Is this rock? No. It's him experimenting with those throughout this album, which makes this a very intriguing listen to me. This and Dad Loves His Work, I think, was the follow-up record. Also had some wobbly weirdness on it as well. And so there's this era where most artists went weird. Stevie Wonder did it. And I mean, Stevie Wonder did it with the Secret Life of Plants. Uh, you know, and what I mean by weird is it just is a little bit more non-traditional than what you're used to, and so I definitely think this is worth checking out again if you're a James Taylor fan, just to say, well, what the fuck is he doing? And here's another dude from the Monkees that made some weird shit. This is Michael Nesmith, and this is a '79 release, Infinite Rider on the Big Dogma. So interesting stuff by him. Now I remember him being more country-ish, country folkish from the early '70s. This has got some rockers on it. Songs like was it Faction? Yeah, Factions and Horse Race are awesome, and they also have a new wave sort of power pop sensibility. And this also has some weird songs on here as well. There's songs that have a little bit of country, a little bit of fucking reggae, and a very diverse album. This was an absolute steal for $3. I was really happy to get this for $3, and yeah, this is really cool. I like Michael Nesmith. I don't think I've really owned any records by him in quite some time. I know I've had some of the earlier stuff that he did in the earlier '70s, which was way more country-ish, country folkish, country rockish. But this is going on almost like kind of art rock meets pop rock kind of stuff. Really diverse though. The reggae stuff on here, there's some country flavor on here too. But definitely outside of his normal wheelhouse. And another, like I said, another kind of hidden gem in his collection. So this, once again, and the record is called Infinite Rider on the Big Dogma. So I think this is super interesting. So yeah. And here's another interesting one. I guess you got more interesting records today than I know what to do with. I mean, I got a lot of interesting records in here, guys. This is Death Vessel, and the album is called Stay Close. Now, Death Vessel goes by his real name. He goes by Death Vessel, but his real name is Joe Thibodeau, and I want to say he's from the north. I think he's from like the Northeast, like Rhode Island, those states. I think he is. But he signed here on the Immune label, which is out of Chicago. Indie folk music, but his voice is so weird. His voice is so weird. It's like he's an eighth grader or something singing, trying to sing indie folk. And because of the strangeness of his voice and sort of the strangeness with some of the arrangements, this is kind of in a way very oddballish. Now, when you're listening to it, you're like, okay, kind of indie folkish, whatever. But if you listen to it like you get into the songs more and more and more, you're like, man, this is a little fucking odd. And indie folk is definitely something I fucking hate. And but I gotta say, I kind of enjoyed this because it is super strange, really fucking bizarre, just on this label. So yeah, this is not for the faint-hearted. If you, and I was trying to think, does he even sound like what's his name, Daniel Johnston, as far as having like a childish voice? It's a little different. It's more like, God, like I almost imagine like Napoleon Dynamite being an indie singer. It's like I don't know. It's just super fucking strange, and it's kind of good in a way. Like some of this has got some like kind of like sea shanty-ish focused stuff, and then some of it's kind of country. It's weird. I'm telling you, this is one of the weird ones I have. So go with your bad self, Joel Thibodeau, if he's still even around. This was a 2006 release, 7 release. That was $3. I said, yeah, hell yeah, I'll take a chance on it. End of the $3 records. This one was in the $5 bin at Jerk Dog, so I picked this one up too. Another strange one. This is Sea Train with Marblehead Messenger. Sea Train, I believe, were a jazz fusion group, I believe. But this kind of is super strange. Quirky, twangy, folky. The spirit of Fugs lives well in these guys, even though it's not lo-fi. But is there a strange sort of quirkiness to this? Absolutely. Not in that lo-fi aesthetic of the Fugs at all. But there's just something about this album that is just a little unnerving in a way, in a good way, that makes this a really, really solid record by Sea Train. I mean, this one is a winner amongst winners. I almost, when I was listening to it, I'm like, God, this is really fucking kind of strange on the Capitol label. But strange in a great way, in a great way. So, Sea Train, Marblehead Messenger. This one is a keeper for sure, although I'm going to sell it. And the last of the, well, shit, I got some more weirdness. I got weirdness to keep coming. This one's weird too. I don't see their stuff this cheap, so I decided to get it because it was $6. Dazzle Ships by Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, or OMD, although I have to pull it this way because the record is this way. If I want to pull out the record, it's this way, but the front is this way. They're getting clever. 1983 release, a concept album, very strange, like spoken word, I think, parts in this album, and going into like some really strange territory for Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark. And this is the album, like I'd say, if they had one like kind of more on the experimental side, this is it. As abstract as I think Architecture and Morality is a record, and I do think it's that way, this one is just fucking straight out weird to me. And I love it though because it's still, I mean, it's almost like OMD doing Kraftwerk, when Kraftwerk can get kind of odd, and but also because it's Andy McCluskey, his vocals and stuff, it brings like a sort of pop melodicism to it as well. This is a super good fucking record by OMD. It was $6. I was like, this is a no-brainer for me. I'm going to buy this. And I'm a huge Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark fan. I pretty much, I mean, up to a point anyways, like most of everything they did. Yeah, so this one was a no-brainer for $6. A no-brainer for $6. So, and this, I believe, too, is a promo Is this a promo? It is a promo. It's the back. So, yeah, it's fucking me up because you have to put it this way. I'm putting it this way, but it's, well, I guess you could put it this way on the Dazzle ships, but it also goes that way too. So, anyways, good early 80s electronic music, new wave, dance, whatever you want. Not dance, but whatever. Here's another weird one, as long as we're staying on the vein of weird. This is the band called Aquarian Blood. And this is the band from Memphis. This is on that Garner label, so if you're familiar with that. It's got some punk aesthetic. It's psychedelic, kind of has, I don't know if there's a such thing as the sounds of an occult, but it does get some weird chanting sort of weirdness in it that's occult-like. From members of Knots and X-Cult. Yeah, I was told that this is super fucking weird. So, punk weirdness, culty punk weirdness. I don't know if this is psychedelic driven or not. Yeah, psych driven. So I'm expecting this to be on a really weird scale. And it's funny that I bought all these records kind of in succession. I bought them all the previous week. The James Taylor to the Death Vessel, the OMD, the C-Train one. All those I bought, and they're all kind of off the beaten path kind of things for whatever they're doing. So, I mean, this is in that vein too. I think, though, I bought this maybe a few weeks before, and that kind of, it was in the same vein, in the same time period. I was getting all this kind of oddball stuff, and that's the kind of stuff I like the most anyway. So, yeah, psych, punk weirdness with cult tinged lyrics, maybe. I don't know. Aquarian Blood. In the back of this, look at this, man. It's freaking awesome. Yeah. All right. A few $10 records. I got three $10 records. I should have three. I should have three $10 records. I do got three $10 records. I do. And that's not one of them. That is not one of them. So here we go. Three $10 records. This is Vaz. The name is Vaz, V-A-S, and Vaz. And the album is Pink Confetti. Pink Confetti. New York band, adding elements of like indie rock weirdness. I'd almost say akin to like a Pavement or Placebo, into some noise and akin to like Amphetamine Reptile kind of stuff, done in a modern kind of way with the modern indie variant, I guess. And I thought this was really good. And this was only $10. So I don't know how much Vaz is done, V-A-Z, Vaz, but I thought this was an absolute steal for $10 because it's in the noise rock thing, and I don't see a lot of that around in my world. So I was super tickled to get this, and I'm going to try to sell it, see if I can sell it. But yeah, New York Noisters, Vaz with their album Pink Confetti. So I think this came out in the 2010s era when there was a little bit of a push for noise rock again. So this isn't surprising really to me. All right. And Los Illegals, this is their album Internal Exile. So interesting band, Los Illegals. I think I want to say these guys, if they're not a Hispanic, I like the Los Illegals, that's hilarious. But a Hispanic punk band that came from East Los Angeles. And there's something about the water in Los Angeles that gives you some great punk bands that are Mexican, you know, or in Mexican tradition. You think of members of the Dills, you think of fucking the Plugs. I mean, just some tasty stuff. And these bands are fucking killer. And this is another band that's killer. This is produced by the band Los Illegals and Mick Ronson of David Bowie fame, who played with David Bowie. Um, not a lot of those classic '70s records, but yeah, this is like weaving between punk, straight, hard, not hardcore, but just a straight punk sound. A sort of kind of on the street kind of edginess to it a little bit, but also new wave. And I would say this is more just like a pure almost punk thing, but there's a little bit of a new wave sort of thing going on sprinkled in this too. But I would call this band punk through and through. So this one was $10 and absolute steal for me. Like I love punk music anyways, and I love like traditional punk that's not hardcore, or pop punk, and that's kind of what this is. And so this is great. Like I said, there's something in the water in Los Angeles with, and if you just think of great Hispanic bands, period. But I love this band that they don't take themselves seriously, calling themselves Los Illegals. You know, yeah. So last $10 record I'm going to show you. We're getting closer to the record store day stuff, guys. So this might be done early. This one I bought this weekend, and I was a little disappointed because it was advertised as one thing and was not what I wanted it to be or thought it would be. So it's kind of like, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. But you live with what you live with, right? This is American Crime and American Grim, and the album's called Ultra Black. Now on here, you see a little tag on here. It says Marilyn Manson industrial metal. Somewhat true, a little bit true. More like if you like Power Man, I think that's her name, Power Man 5000. This has reeks of new metal too. So it does get some of that industrial metal stuff in there, but it also has elements of new metal, which I do not like. And it's not because I don't think new metal sucks. I just don't really like it. I've heard enough of it. I've explored it a little bit, know the basic bands, and none of it's ever done anything for me. I always, like, when I heard it, I was always like, and the back in the day, I just like laughed at it. I was just like, this is so dumb. But the older I get, the more I can kind of appreciate bands like Korn and, I don't know if Slipknot would be considered new metal, like Limp Bizkit, who I still think kind of sucks. But like Korn, I can appreciate a little bit more. I think System of a Down was thrown in there, Deftones, which I love. Who else was in that new metal thing? I don't even remember. Maybe Mushroomhead, who I actually like from Cleveland. This is in that kind of vein too. If it would have stayed like the first track I heard on here, I think it was called Nightmare. I was like, I'm bored with this completely. And then I'm like, oh God, it's got like new metal stylings. They're rapping. I'm like, oh no. And so $10 I'm not going to get back. I really need to research these albums before I buy them. Thank God I didn't spend $20 on this. If I'm lucky, I could sell this back for $6 or $7. I'm going to try like my hell to sell this weekend. Because or not this weekend, in a few weeks when I have a record show. Okay, 3 albums to show you before we get to the record store day stuff that I've bought in the past. These are albums that I just had bought and just kind of put aside till the right time. This first one, I didn't want to show it because it's so common, but I'm going to show it so you can at least see the color of the record, the variant on it, which is really cool. But this is MC5's Kick Out the Jams. I bought this originally at a record store years ago for $1.99. In the 90s, when records didn't really have a fucking value. At least, that when you'd go into stores. It was like maybe $2.99. $2.99! I spent $25 on a fucking reissue. I've been wanting this in the collection. It's like one of those records that every time I started up a record collection, I lost my records, got them back, and started up the next record collection. I've gotten this record. It's like one of those records I have to have in my collection. I don't really need to go into the depth in this one. You guys know MC5. You guys know this album. It's a classic, what I guess they would call proto-punk album. I really like some of MC5 stuff. I'm very, very peculiar. This album and the Back in the USSA or whatever that album is, somebody will correct me on because I can never remember. And what was the other one? High Time. I like that too. So yeah, those classic first few albums are great by MC5. I will show you the inside of this because it's awesome. That's the nice thing about a reissue. It's got a really, really fucking thick binder and cover. Because I had this and the cover was like fucking ripped in a few months after getting it. But this is kind of the cool thing I wanted to show you. You could probably already see it. Is look at this color on here. That's America, baby. It sounded so dumb. Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah. This is awesome. My favorite song by them is Looking at, what's that song called? Looking at You. I fucking love that song. But on here, my favorite song is probably Motor City is Burning. I love that song on here. I also like Rocket Reducer number 62. I mean, who doesn't? And then their cover of Rambling Rose is absolutely fucking utterly ridiculous. I did show in the past when I got the Stooges, I showed it, so I said, fuck it, I'm going to show this. $25 for it. A little bit more than I'd like to have paid for a reissue, but, you know, I've been wanting this in the collection. It was one of the times I was at the record store and I just didn't see anything I wanted, and it was one of those things that's like, well, buy it for the collection because you know you're going to keep it. I'm not going to sell this. I'm going to keep it in my own personal collection. So this is not going to for sale. So this is one of the few things I'll show you today that is not going for sale. Most of what I showed you is, as I have a Tampa record show coming up on May 3rd. So if you're in the Tampa area, stop by. I will cut you a deal because I have the cheapest records in the room. Obituary, Slowly We Rot. I bought this probably about a month or so ago. It was one of those things too that was like there wasn't really anything there that was grabbing at me, and I was like, you know what? It was $34. I wish I wouldn't have paid $34 for it, but fuck it, I got it. This is, you know, a 2026 Roadrunner reissue of the 1989 classic, and I'm not going to say anything. Everybody knows that listens to death metal knows who Obituary is, and everybody that listens to death metal knows this isn't a death metal essential and knows the great voice of John Tardy, which I don't really need to get into. This is just great death metal, and I love the purest form of death metal because the grooves are a little bit slower than what I remember. I remember this always thinking, oh, this stuff is so brutal and whatever. But when you go back and listen to it, like, it doesn't, I don't know about this record in particular, but some of the ones I've listened to, I'm like, well, this isn't as heavy as I remember it being, or as fast as I remember. Well, heavy, but not as fast as I remember it being, you know? There was something about the grooves that they used, with the tempos that they used in those earlier death metal albums that are just really fucking awesome. And the breakdowns are cool and all that stuff. Yeah, a death metal classic, Obituary, Slowly We Rot. And this band stuff, who I had been wanting to get for a while, and especially this album. I spent a little bit more than I wanted to, but I've been wanting this fucking record forever, and this is Mayhem's Death Crush. And this is a picture sleeve. I do not like picture sleeves because they sound like shit on vinyl, but any early Mayhem is going to sound like shit on vinyl, probably. This is on the Death Like Silence, or on the Back on Black label, I should say. And I'll just take it out. You can look at it. It's not going to hurt you guys to look at it. Hold on a second. And then the flippy is Mayhem's Death Crush right there. I always, not always, I thought since I had started listening to Mayhem, and of course, Under the Freezing Moon or whatever that album is, and not Freezing Moon, De Mysterious, and then Odo E Chow or whatever that album is. I always thought that I kind of had a idea about what Mayhem was about and their black metal credibility, and then I heard this, and I was like, this is fucking great. I love the like lo-fi shit on this, and this does not have Death on here. It has what's his name, Maniac, as the vocals. But I love like some of the songs on here, like Witching Hour and Necrolust, and what's the other one on here? Oh, of course, Chainsaw Gutsfuck, which is awesome. Merging really this real primitive bestial, and I mean bestial not in a bestial black metal way, but a bestial sort of primitiveness into a kind of what they're trying to be like evil. But the lo-fi aspects of Mayhem, I don't think should be overlooked, and how that aesthetic, much in the same way that Burzum's aesthetic with the lo-fi, actually works for this music real well. This is a train wreck of noise, more so to me than a train wreck or than a collage of evil, you know. But that's where its power is to me with this. This is fucking phenomenal. So Mayhem's Death Crush. Finally, I'm starting to pick up some Mayhem. De Mysterious is next on my list to get other stuff. I love to get all that classic early black metal. I don't have hardly any of it. I'm going to be honest. As sad as that is, I have hardly any of that in my collection. I have like a one Immortal record. I have a lot of black metal, but not that classic really early. I got a Burzum anthology record, but I'd like to get some of the Burzum stuff in, of course, more Immortal, Dark Throne, all that shit. All the classic stuff is, I still go back to that as my inspiration for black metal. Although what they're doing in black metal nowadays, it's awesome too. I love some of the bands, like some of the bands that are out nowadays. Assassination, I think, is one of the bands I was thinking of. God, all these great bands. Is that Old Nick doing real cool black metal stuff. All right, so let's get into the final 5 here. 5 Record Store Day releases. 50 minutes later. We'll be done fairly early. This is good for me. These are all Record Store Day releases that, which I just said, from my local record store. So let's show them. The first one is Lunatics with We Can Be Worser. Record Store Day exclusive with a colored bio vinyl. This is a Breast of compilation. Lunatics were kind of fun. They were, I would say, feminist, right, girl-ish punk. What I really like about their approach is they're really sleazy in a way, really trashy. The trash element really cannot be understated on with these guys, and they were like a lot of fun. They were a lot of fun, but they also had like thought-provoking lyrics and societal challenging lyrics, but they were like just really fucking wildly goofy in a way to me, and fun, just fun. And they have basically a punk sound that has a metal tinge to it, but it is really lo-fi, and this is like kind of almost my favorite kind of punk, where the guitars are real heavy and almost metalish, but it's in the punk vein. What I call this band hardcore. I mean, it definitely is not out of the debate for sure, but I just think of this as like trash punk, I guess. But if you want to call it hardcore, I mean, I guess a tit for tat. But the songs on here are from like Babysitters on Acid, Luxury Problem. There's a few original 7-inch versions of songs like Sill and Plug. Songs off of Jerk of All Trades, A Pretty Ugly. So songs from different albums. $25 gets you, fucking, what, 14 songs by the Lunatics. This is pretty fucking cool. Like this band, liked them for a while, so a lot of fun. Next one, and this is probably the one where I'm kind of, like the next two, I can honestly say, like, I go to my record store is small, and the one I go to, so his selection isn't going to be quite like, he is not going to have the same kind of selection of titles other stores have. He had a good selection, don't get me wrong, but if I would have went to like St. Pete or Tampa, there might have been a bigger selection, there might not have, but or even Sarasota, but I don't like Sarasota's record stores. They're okay. St. Pete's I like, but I don't get up there often. I don't want to drive that far. So I decided to kind of stay pat and go to the record store here. I did my initial run, and the other three I got were in my initial run. And then this one I went back for, and I was thinking because they had a Captain Beefheart record there, they had a Flat Dual Jets record there. I was thinking I was going to get one of those, but I got this. This is MC 900 Feet Jesus, and the album is called Welcome to My Dream, the 35th anniversary edition, I suppose. Whoops. And this is going back to, I think, the early 90s when MC 900 Foot Jesus had come out. The first album he made, this being his second, had kind of a cartoonish quality to it, and had samples and industrial elements into it, and overall a fun album. This, he gets a little darker, even though there's some silliness on this. He gets darker, and there's elements of industrial hip-hop beats, jazz and funk stuff on this as well, and so it has even more like a dreamy kind of feel to it, hypnotic feel to it, and which would be considered maybe early trip-hop, which I was not a fan of trip-hop when I had first heard the term or the music, and then I was like, oh wait, this is, after I heard Burial and Portishead, I was like, ooh, I kind of like this. And so, or is it DJ Shadow? Is he considered trip hop? Anyways, I like him too. So this kind of grew to me as a music. Now I bought this CD a few years ago, and I was like, ooh, I don't like this. But that was like 4 or 5 years ago, and my taste changed so much. Not always for the better or worse, but they do change where I might find something really appealing in this. But this was one of those albums that I had thought about when I saw the original list. It was in the back of my head. I'm like, I might get this, I might not. I don't know yet. And then when I went back and I was like kind of looking around, I'm like, this is not going to be released on fucking vinyl anytime soon. Now, some of the other records might not be either, but this is like one of those like, get it now while you fucking can kind of things, because it's not going to be around. And well, most of the record store days are like that, but in my mind, I was thinking, now it's the time to pull the trigger, and I did. I like the song Killer Inside of Me. I know a lot of people think that's cheesy, but I kind of like that song. Falling in Elevators is cool on here. There's a bunch of demos on here too, and some dubs, and some vocal remixes on here as well. So it's a double album. It was $36. I'm kind of now glad I got this. And I had first heard of MC 900 Foot Jesus. I'm sick of saying that. I'm just going to call him MC Jesus for now. From, I think he does Supernaut on the Black Sabbath tribute album, which I love that track. One of my favorite tracks on that album is his version, MC's version of Supernaut. So I was like, and then when I listened to this album, I didn't like it originally, but I think I'm going to like it a lot more now. Okay, this one too, I had originally bought in the Lunatics, and then the two other I'm going to show you here. And then as I'm leaving the first round, because I went 2 times, I went around 11 o'clock. I think right around 11 o'clock, and I was like, we just kind of was like, I didn't care what was left over there. I kind of was going through, and I was like looking, and I'm like, okay, I got what I wanted. And then I was leaving. I go, Brian, let me just look around. My brother Brian. I go, let me just look around one more time. And I went back to the record store day stuff, and I saw this sitting in there, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't need this in my collection at all. But I am almost a completist for their shit, because I buy almost everything they have. And so this is the Cure acoustic hits. So this is going back to, I think, 2001, I believe. And this was $40, and this kind of get where record store gets ridiculous when albums are piling up to $40. 2001 this originally came out, and this is the 2026 thing. They had the other album they had was the Greatest Hits, the double album. I don't need to get that. I think I'm probably gonna get it if it's there, but I didn't get it because I'm like, I have it on CD. I don't need to get everything by them on vinyl, but for fucking Christ's sakes, I've been buying everything I see by this band on vinyl, and I'm close to having what I want by this band. But yeah, this is acoustic versions of Boys Don't Cry and A Forest and Love Cats, In Between Days, Just Like Heaven, Why Can't Be You, Love Song. I think Love Song's a pretty good song on here. Even though it just, gets overplayed, I think it's actually good. Never Enough is a good song track on here. Wrong Number, the excellent fucking Mint Car. I like Mint Car quite a bit. Friday, I'm in Love, High. Great songs, great songs, great songs by the Car. And so, yeah, here I am again. And yes, Robert, I keep buying your records. I hope I'm keeping your retirement quite where I feel like I spent thousands of dollars on the Cure's stuff, and I probably have. This next one was one I was like the NC 900 Foot Jesus one, which was in the back of my mind. This one was at the front of what I wanted to get. Now, the albums I really wanted to get were Black Sabbath's Seventh Star, Alcatraz's No Parole for Rock and Roll, John Boy, noise band from the 90s, which he didn't have. None of those other records were there, and those were kind of what I was thinking about when I was looking at the list. This one was definitely one I was thinking about. There were 2 copies left of this, and I was like, my brother wanted a copy of this because he likes this group. And then I said, I'm going to get a copy of this too. So this is Sinister Whispers. This is the Wax Trax remixes of My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult. So, bueno score here on this one, if you ask me, because this is My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult. I've seen their stuff, and their albums are usually going for about $40. So to get a double album of remixes is great. And from a band, a Chicago band that did not give a fuck what their sounded like. And I don't really think they did. They wanted to be as trashy and as obnoxious as possible. There's a very good treatment on this of remixes. And I think this originally came out in 2009. Don't quote me on that, but I think it did. And this is on the Wax Trax label. Duh. Well, I'm talking to myself. But, yeah, I thought these guys were great. I think they're ridiculously over the top. They were trying to do this B-movie horror thing, and that was their mindset when they came out. As a matter of fact, they named themselves My Life after a Thrill Kill Cult because they wanted to make a B-movie called that. But that didn't, for some reason, materialize. They kept the name for the band. Really smart idea here. One of the better, funner, fucking industrial bands in the 90s. I love this band. They just put a smile on my face. They're kind of over the top, and that's what's great about them. But there's an intensity to the music, too. They have a little bit of that Alien Sex Fiend thing, too, where, like, Alien Sex Fiend is totally ridiculous as they got later on. But there was an intensity to them, a seriousness to them that was not to be taken lightly. And I think there is to this band, even though I smile a lot when I think about them. And the best song on here, and This Is What the Devil Does. I don't know if it's best, but they remix that. That's the first track on here. So, Sinister Whispers. This was an absolute steal, and it was $43. So I spent way more money. Now, all these records I did not get all together. I did not get the Mayhem and all those records. I did not get. Some of the $3 records I did. I bought a bunch of cassettes, but I'm not going to show all of them. The Scorpions is one I showed. And I also got this, the last thing I'll show you. This is Super Unit, Maximum Implosion. So this is the Japanese band Xena Geva with Steve Albini, with the group Super Unit, and Xena Geva's own album. Now, Xena Geva is a Japanese noise band, and they did an album with Steve Albini, and it's on here called, God, there's a lot of shit on here. All Right, You Little Bastards. And then they made a LP that's on here called Nigh High. And then I think there is in the complete Super Unit recording sessions. And I think Super Unit was part of Steve Albini and Zena Geva too. Now, I had never heard of Zena Geva before, ever in my life have I heard this. I'm going to pull this out and show it to you. And I was really surprised how much I really liked what I had heard by this group. So, Noise Fanatics from the 90s, man, you're being heard right now, including me, and this was the last purchase I had. I'm going to take this out and show it to you real quick. And then I'm going to stop because I'm fucking beat tired. I missed a week of work, so I got to go back to work. This does have a, what the fuck is it? This does have one of these little, it fucking drives me up the wall when I can't remember. That's the problem with aging. This is what it looks like. I'm going to open this up, and right away when I open this up, there's this booklet right here. Zena Geva, Steve Albini, and Super Unit. So I think Super Unit is Steve Albini and Zena Geva. I think it is. Zena Geva. And here's a picture of the band. I'm a fucking sucker for Japanese stuff. This is what the inside looks like. Yeah, yeah, it is. Super Unit is a, I think, collection of Steve Albini and Zena Geva stuff. And then they did an album together called All Right, You Little Bastards. So, kind of the complete stuff. And this is kind of going back to early 90s noise rock. So this is going to be fucking exceptional, if you ask me, if I can pull this out. And this is on, I believe, red vinyl. I'm not going to pull the other one out. I'll just let you see this one. And so, yeah, well, fuck it. You know what? I'm a completist. If I can pull the other one out. Oh, you know what? I'm glad I did, because it's not on red vinyl. It's on this marble-colored vinyl. So, yeah, noise rock from the 90s. If you know Steve Albini from Big Black and Shellac, then you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. I was really surprised how good Zena Geva is. Like, I didn't know anything about him till Record Store Day, I'll be the first to admit, but I'm a fucking sucker for Japanese music. So, and, yeah, so this is in that, like, super crunchy noise kind of stuff. And the Japanese stuff, when you think of, like, the Boredoms, even I would say some of fucking Psy stuff, even though they're kind of more like, Psy is more like, black metal-ish. There's experimental parts to it too, almost even noisy parts to it too, and of course the wonderful Gizm or Jism or whatever you want to call them from the early 80s that had some noise aspects to them too. Not exactly the same thing, but I'm just saying that the Japanese lineage is strong when it comes to this kind of stuff. So yes, Super Unit, Maximum Explosion. Music was Zena Geva and Steve Albini, and their project Super Unit. So pretty cool. That was $43. And that, my friends, is it. So as I say this as I breathe, I will be having another few updates coming up pretty soon here, including one for my, I'll probably show you, if I do buy, it depends, okay, but if I do buy a lot from the, if I do buy a lot from the Tampa show, I'll probably show it. I have not shown you my UK haul yet. I did not want to show it in between the Tampa and then this one. I like to show these every few weeks. So that will be coming. The UK one probably with the Tampa Record Show, which is coming up in 2 weeks. And then I have a Tampa Scream show the following weekend where I'm selling. I'll be buying there probably. That one in particularly, I'm going to do a show. So probably 2 shows in May, if not 3, because I'll probably do a Memorial Day weekend show 2, maybe 3. But the Tampa Record Show, I'm going to coincide with what I got with my UK stuff. And I shot the UK stuff and I had it done in like 30 minutes. So I feel like I'm really comfortable being able to show that and whatever I get at the Tampa Record Show, which will be my next video. And then the following one will be my Tampa Screams haul. So that'll be the DVDs and VHS and Blu-rays and whatever else I get there. So those are all coming up. So yeah, May 3rd Record Show. Following weekend, Saturday, Sunday, horror convention in Tampa selling. So, man, it's gonna be a busy month in May. It's gonna be fucking flying in May. So I'm looking forward to that a great deal. For those who keep watching this channel, I applaud you. Thank you for watching this and taking your time out. There's so much content out there, so I figure I'm very grateful for the people who are going to spend their time with me. There's so much more to watch and so much more to and shorter videos too, because mine are fucking forever. But you know, at this point, I keep saying I'm going to shorten them, and I haven't, so I'm not going to at this point. And yeah. But anyways, thank you again for your support. I will see you guys here in the next few weeks. Happy Record Store, y'all. And if you didn't notice, I didn't shoot this Record Store Day thing right away like everyone else does. I waited a few days because I figured, to me, it's like the Sunday afterwards. I was like, yesterday, I was just beaten, exhausted, because I was out Saturday, went to the record store twice, and it was hot out. So I was like, fuck, I am just taking a day to rest. It's just like these people, these YouTube personalities are like parasites, where they're like, gotta do it now so I can get all those views. That's kind of the sensibility of it, and I get it. But I'm not in competition with views anymore. I'm like, I'll shoot it in a few days. I'm sure I'll get some traction because it's record store day stuff. But, you know, I'm not doing it right away. I wasn't going to shoot it that Saturday, or I'll try to upload it the day after, or shoot it that Sunday. It's going to be a few days later. I did it last year and I got fucking a lot of views. So for me, like 60 is a lot. So I'm going to keep it the same. Anyways, I've been prattling on too long. I'll see you guys soon. Look for a new video in a few weeks. And thanks again for continued support. Bye.